Alright, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. It's about, well, it is 2:14 in the morning. I've been up since 5 yesterday morning. So you can imagine I'm a little tired. But this is my Infinity War review. That movie was fucking awesome. I like, you felt the weight of it. Like you felt the emotion. In some scenes more than others. I mean, it wasn't a perfect movie. No movie is perfect. It had its flaws. I think one of the main flaws was it has so many characters. They was trying to give everybody something to do, and it in some parts I was like, it was kind of, they were jumping back and forth between like Peter Quill, between basically why am I I'm forgetting their names. Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy team, and Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider Man, and I think that was it. Part of that team, yeah, if I remember correctly, going after Thanos on another on Titan, which is Thanos' home planet. You don't know that, and they changed the story around with Thanos. And instead of Thanos really destroying, well, as far as we see, instead of Thanos destroying his own planet, he wanted to. His planet was, I guess, very overpopulated, and he had a plan to fix that by mass genocide, which was to kill off half of the population. And of course, his people didn't take too kindly to it, thought he was crazy, and I guess it ended up where he would, the whole civilization ended up dying off except for him, which I think something's going. I think he's saying that, but I think they're gonna go back and say like, oh, it's something he did, like he just, well, they're not worthy, and he killed all of them instead of only killing half, because he's going from planet to planet, killing off half of the population of each planet. He's not. It doesn't seem like he's doing any research on the planet to see if they're suffering from overpopulation. It seems like he's just like, fuck it. Eventually, they're going to be suffering from it, so I might as well just go ahead and X off half the planet so they don't suffer from overpopulation. And in his eyes, he's giving them a merciful death, and I think in his words. And that's kind of his story. But I thought Thanos was really good villain. He looked good, and his CGI looked good. Some scenes CGI when he moved really, when he was moving real quick, it looked wonky. But CGI does that. Like I've noticed CGI when they do humans, it don't look all that great. Like if you see Deadpool, if you see Ryan Reynolds in the suit, and then they do a scene where right after that where he's doing CGI and he's moving, the whole thing is CGI. He looks different. His body moves different. They haven't quite got that. They've gotten a lot better. Haven't quite gotten that down yet. And Thanos suffers from that because, of course, he's a completely CGI character. But at least in that, he's not like a real person in a costume. And then they do it where he's moving and he's in full CGI. So you don't have to worry. So in that, you don't have to worry about that. It doesn't look. You can't compare it like that. But when he's moving, you can tell like, CGI looks a little wonky. It kind of reminds me of the end of Black Panther. CGI at the end fight was kind of, it was alright, but you could tell, you could definitely see the imperfections in it. And I was like, yeah, it was, but it was still overall a good movie. Black Panther, I think, was a great movie. Very, very worth the viewing, and so was the Age of Ultron, and Age of Ultron. uh, Infinity War. But the way it starts out is with Thor. Where Thor's ship is getting attacked. If you saw, see some of these, the way this movie is, because I saw people online saying, "Oh, you don't need to see any of the other Marvel movies to understand what's going on in this movie." You kind of do. You do, because I could hear it, which was annoying the fuck out of me. People next to me didn't know what was going on both sides because they didn't see any of the other movies, or they didn't see any of the last few movies. Black Panther, Black Panther's more of an isolated story, so that is fine. But if you didn't see Age of Ultron, if you didn't see any of the Avengers movies, or I won't say you had to see Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange kind of says who he is in that movie. Let me just flat out just says who he is to Thanos. Like, I am the master of the mystic arts, and all this, like. So you almost do, because he just explains himself. But if you ever seen it, you be like, why the? I mean, you still be like, fuck all these people together. That's like reading a comic book and not knowing. That'd be like reading Infinity War or Secret Wars or something and seeing all these characters in there. And you're like, oh fuck, all these characters just come together, and you don't know why they together, you know. But Thanos starts out pretty much attacking Thor's ship. If you saw Thor Ragnarok, his ship is they left, and spoilers, of course it's a spoiler view. They left, all of Asgard was destroyed. They had some survivors, pretty much, I guess everybody that they could, and they're on their ship and they're going to Earth, and Thanos runs in because Loki has the Tesseract. He decided to take that with him. And I guess the way they did this is the Infinity Gauntlet can, I guess, sense the Infinity Stones. So then he knows basically where that, only one he didn't seem to know where it was at was the Soul Stone. But because it almost seemed like the Soul Stone was on another plane of existence. But he knew, but because of Loki, he found out where the Tesseract was, which had a gemstone. What happened? Gemstone? Well, you might as well say gemstone, but Infinity Stone. What the fuck is that Infinity Stone? Is that space? I think it's space. He ended up killing Loki in front of Thor. He killed, I think, it seemed like he said he killed half of the people on the ship. So I guess wherever he goes, he just, no matter if it's a car and it's two people, he's killing one person. I think he said he killed half the people on the ship. But when they showed the people, it looked like he killed a lot. It looked like he killed everybody. So when they was on the ship, so I don't know. Everybody in that room with them was dead, and those with the Blackwater, they were just walking through people who were still, like, they were moving even a little bit and just stabbing them. Like, and then he was like basically on the ground, fucked up. And he, of course, he's monologuing and all this shit, talking just all types of shit. He picks up Thor like a little baby and says, like, I killed Thor. If you don't give me the Tesseract. He's like, we don't tell you, Thor, like, we don't have a Tesseract. And then Loki just brings the Tesseract out. Just because he's like, and I guess in this, they could just make stuff disappear and it goes somewhere. I don't know, because Doctor Strange did the same thing in this movie with the time stone, which he had, if you've seen the first movie, which they explained in this movie, so you didn't. God damn it! Hold on a second. I should have known that was gonna happen. Wait a minute. Take my key out. But he had the time stone and the Eye of Agamemnon, I think it was called, something like that. And Man, lost my train of thought. Damn light going on. But he has the Tesseract. He tells him, "Hey, I'm gonna kill him if you don't give me the Tesseract." And he's like, "Go." Well, before he didn't show a Tesseract. He's like, "Go ahead." Logan was like, "Go ahead and kill him. I don't care." And then he put the gauntlet to his head, and it was fucking up, doing something. I don't know what it was doing to him, but like his head was about to explode. And then of course Loki caved and said, "All right, I'll give you the times. I'll give you the Tesseract." He brought it down, and then he brought it down. Thor said, "You are the worst stepbrother," because he was like, "We don't have the Tesseract," and he's like, and he found it when he brought it. Then Loki brought it out of nothing. It just appeared in his hand. And he's like, "You are the worst stepbrother." And he's a stepbrother or brother. I think he's a stepbrother. But he gave it to him. He let him go. And then Hulk, he said we have a Hulk, and then Hulk attacked Thanos. Hulk was bloody, he's beating the shit out of Thanos, and then the other guy, I can't remember his name. He's like man, why am I forgetting all these people's names now? I've read the fucking comic, but I can't remember they fucking. It's been years since I read the comic books, but it was the guy. He had telekinesis. I can't remember. He was the guy you seen the trailer. He's like, shh. Which that happened in the trailer. It looked like he did that to Doctor Strange. He actually did that to Thor. And the Thor at that moment, because it was in that moment when he was fighting. He basically he did that to Thor because he like wrapped him up when Thor was about to attack down. He wrapped after the Hulk fought him, but when the Hulk's fighting him, the Hulk was like he's whooping his ass. Thanos just he basically did the same thing they did in the Incredible Hulk movie, where he was fighting the Abomination and the Hulk's like getting strong and stuff, and grabbed the Abomination arm and did like that and held him back. Thanos did the exact same thing to the Hulk, so he made it look even easier. And the Hulk was like, "What?" The Hulk, usually the look on the Hulk's face like, what? Thanos destroyed the Hulk. It like chopped him in his throat, punch like he destroyed him. Like he choke slammed him. I was like, man. And then Heimdall, I think his name, came awake and opened up the Bifrost. I guess because he had the sword and all, so he used to open up the Bifrost, sent the Hulk to Earth, and then Thanos picked up take a spear from that chick that's on the Black Order and stabbed Heimdall, so he's dead. Or Heimdall. And killed him. Thor was freaking out, but then old dude had already tied up Thor, because Thor hit. So when he's fighting the Hulk and he chokeslammed the Hulk, Thor hit him in the head with I couldn't tell what it was because he did it so fast, like a big old piece of metal. And then the guy with the telekinesis wrapped him up, and he was all right. And then he started yelling, and he put a piece of metal around his mouth, and it was like, shh. And that dude was kind of cool too. I liked him. And but of course, the Black Order is basically a bunch of, they were basically just higher level henchmen. They were just above, regular. They like. Like a James Bond movie, you had like just jobbers with James Bond killing like 2 hits. And then you have that, and then you have your odd jobs. That's basically what they were. They were just there for to just do what, almost like, they remind me of Dark Side, where those women, I can't remember, why am I forgetting all these people's names? But those women that help him, like, Granny Goodness and Big Barda was part of him. He wanted Supergirl to be part of him. His like trio of female like warriors, like lieutenants, or basically, or generals, whatever. That's basically what they were. And but this guy was strong. His telekinesis, like, wow, shit, like. And but the fight scenes between them, that was awesome. But They he sent Thor through the Bifrost to Earth. Got him there, got killed. He Loki was like, oh hey, you know you're gonna need a guide on Earth, cause he's like, but he's like, I have experience. He's like you call failure experience. That's what Thanos said. And he was like, he's a experience, you know. And then Loki, you can see Loki like Thor looking at him like, you motherfucker, like, and then you can see like a knife form in Loki's hand, cause Loki just pulls shit out of like his mask shit, and he tried to stab Thanos in the throat. Thanos stopped it with I guess one of the stones, because he already had one, if I recall. He had one already, and then he had the space. I can't remember which one he already had. I think he had the reality. He had reality already, or did he get that? I can't remember. But I know he stopped him. Then he just took the knife to grab Loki, pretty much crushed Loki's throat. And said that he said that he ain't coming back from that. So he said that he's not coming back from that, because he's like, well, he's a no resurrection or something like from that. So, and then they left. He blew up the ship with Thor on it. Thor, like, that's what I guess he must have killed everybody. He blew up the ship. Now I remember. They must have killed everybody first and then blew up the ship, because everybody in that room was dead. So Korg or whatever his name was, and Ragnarok is dead. So he's not coming back. The one that Taika Waititi played in the comic relief, even though everybody was a comic relief in that movie, but think a movie about basically Armageddon for the Asgardians was a comic, which was still enjoyable up to a point. I mean, I didn't think it was all that great. Like people say, oh, it's the best Marvel movie. But people say that about every single Marvel movie. It's the best Marvel movie. Then as time goes on, they start saying they hate it. Like I remember people saying about Iron Man 3, the best Marvel movie, and then I start seeing people saying, oh, as the movie, as they watch it more, you know, you start pointing out imperfections in it. Like I used to really like, I still like it, Man of Steel. Now, as you watch the movie more and more, you start pointing out more imperfections. But overall, I still liked it. But anyway, this is not a DC review. I try not to do that, compare the two. But anyway, after that, he blows up the ship. That's what sends Thor hurtling through space. Thor's hurtling through space. And, of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy start coming in. They get a distress beacon. Then they're coming in. They come in, Thor runs right into him. And then Thor's still alive, because, of course, you know, he's Asgardian, he can survive in space. And they bring him on board. Then they wake him up. Mantis, he says, what happened? Thanos. Then, of course, he talks to Gamora. Gamora's like, Drax says, well, he's Thanos', she's Thanos' daughter. And I almost feel like Thor got up like he was pissed off. And I can't remember if it was Drax or Peter that said it, but he's like stepdaughter. Like he's not walking towards her like he was pissed off. Yeah, and she doesn't like him either. Like I know Peter said that she doesn't like him either. And then Thor was actually going to console her, because he was like, I understand where you're coming from. He killed my brother and stuff. I said why you hate him and stuff. And then let Thor say, I need my power, even though I was like, I thought they said the hammer is just basically supposed to help you channel your power. Because it seemed like he was kicking ass in Thor Ragnarok. I was like, why does he need another weapon to help channel his power? He was doing just fine without it in Thor Ragnarok, but all right, whatever. I seem like Thor needs to hit, a hammer type thing, which they did do. Which in the movie they did, They did because he had to go to where his hammer was made, and the doors, and Thanos had already been there. He got them. He was the one who went there to get them to make the Infinity Gauntlet. And the door was like, "I'll make it if you leave," because he said something like it was like 300 doors. I think he said 200, 300 doors. Thanos, the guy said, "I'll make it if you don't kill anybody." Thanos said, "Okay." He makes it. Thanos kills everybody. He said, "Your hands belong to me." And then he basically molded metal to this guy's hands. His hands are like this, molded metal. So that he looks like the man with the iron fist. and it was Peter Dinklage that played the dwarf, even though he was a giant dwarf, but he was bigger. He was like a giant, but he was a dwarf. So it was weird. Cause I was like, oh, I remember they say he was in a movie. I was like, oh, there's Peter Dinklage. I was wondering where he was at, and when what was that? Well, he going to get his hammer. Then they kept switching back and forth because they showed up on Earth. Thanos, what? Not Thanos, but Thanos went to go get the other Infinity, and he wanted to get the Soul Star. And he sent the telekinesis guy and some big guy with an axe. I don't know his name. He was like bigger than that. He was like Thanos size. Like he might be bigger than Thanos. And they went to Earth. Hulk landed in the Sanctum, Doctor Strange, and he was like, and he got Iron Man. He's like, Thanos is coming, and it was funny because the Hulk seemed like he was scared, like of Thanos, like because he refused to come out. The whole movie, the Hulk never came out after he had his ass whooped by Thanos. Like the whole movie, he was trying to force the Hulk out, like to Hulk out so he could help, and the Hulk was like, no, I am not, because he I think that was the first time he ever got his ass whooped like that, like effortlessly, and so he was afraid to come out. Because I'm like, come on, Hulk, like you get stronger and the more angry you get, so eventually you would catch up to him, you even surpass him. But they was like, well, they gonna do it in the second movie, I'm sure. And that scene where they all running together, and I think it was the last trailer or the second trailer, and the Hulk was there. Like I said, he didn't turn back into the Hulk the rest of the movie. So that scene didn't happen in the movie. So you expecting that? If you haven't seen it yet, and you expecting that, which I'm sure you've seen it, but everybody's fucking seen it. I think they got a $630 million opening weekend. But that scene's not in the movie, because I was looking for that. I said, wait a minute. As the movie was going on, I was like, that scene's not going to happen. Because I was like, wait a minute. This is not going to happen. But Iron Man, like I said, they got Iron Man. I liked how Doctor Strange went and got Iron Man. And he did that little thing, and he goes through the portal and stuff. He got Iron Man, and then like I said, Hulk was explaining to him what's going on. What I guess you say, David Banner, Bruce Banner. It's not Bill Bixby in Incredible Hulk. They called him David Banner. It's Bruce Banner, and then everything started vibrating, and they was coming. Then they had this big fight in New York, a huge fight, but it looked very good. And he was trying to take Doctor Strange because he couldn't, because he tried to take the talisman basically with time stone in it, and it's enchanted. So he touched it, it burns. So anybody touches it other than Doctor Strange, it burns their skin. And he was like, well, I just take you. And then I'd either figure it out or take it off before we get to Thanos, or I take you to Thanos take it off. But either way, it's coming off. And Iron Man was fighting that big jobber, because he was there. And Wong was fighting too. Then Wong got knocked down. Then Spider-Man showed up, started helping Stark out. They fighting this thing. And then Wong sent the thing off and cut the motherfucker's hand off because he sent him through a portal, and like he sent him to the Arctic somewhere, or Antarctica. And then if they try to jump back through the portal, his hand got through the portal, but Wong shut it off and cut his hand. And then Spider-Man went and tried to save Doctor Strange, and then they end up beaming him and Doctor Strange. And Spider-Man almost died, but Iron Man had the Iron Spider suit fly over that, and Spider-Man was able to breathe. And because basically the ship was sending them, because it beamed them to the ship, and Spider-Man was on the outside hanging on, trying to get inside the Doctor Strange, and the ship was gaining altitude. He was getting lightheaded and fell off, and then the suit like just hit him, and it went all around him and basically formed on him like Iron Man's suit, or his old suit. Because now his new suit is but I think it's the bleeding edge suit, so it's like nano machines. And then Spider-Man could breathe in space. And Spider-Man's on the ship. Spider-Man got on the ship. Tony Stark got on the ship. And then they cut back to what did I cut back to? They cut back down to Earth, and Hulk had the cell phone because he said you need to call Steve because they needed to find the Vision because the Vision had the Mind Stone. So he was like, well, you need to call Steve. And then I remember Tony was like, I haven't talked to Steve. He said, because a Hulk hasn't been in the movie, so he hasn't even been on Earth since, as far as we know, we know, as far as Age of Ultron, he's been gone for 2 years. And the whole, the Civil War happened and all that stuff. So he was like, we broke up, and me and Calvin was like on speaking terms. He's like, you need to get the fuck over it because the world is about to end, or half the world is about to end anyway. And then he ended up, Tony dropped his phone, so the Hulk or Bruce Banner ended up calling Captain America. And then they switch to Vision, and Vision's with the Scarlet Witch. They're, he got getting their little android human love thing going on. I can't really say, is it android? Yeah, I think he's an android because a cyborg, he'd be part human. Because I always thought that was weird because I know in Dragon Ball Z they say Android 18. Alright, I'm back. So the movie, so it went to the Vision, Scarlet Witch. They well, I ain't gonna go through that whole thing because I said I was gonna keep this short. I've been out here for 30 minutes already. But anyway, after Scarlet Witch and them get attacked. Scarlet Witch and Vision get attacked by the other two jobbers that are with Thanos, and they pretty much kicking Vision's ass, which I thought was funny. I'm like, Vision is probably the strongest one of them, but they made it so he couldn't go intangible. But I'm like, you still have strength far superior than pretty much everybody else minus the Hulk and Thor. But I was like, why are you he was getting his ass handed to him. Anyway, Thor, they had the thing where Thor got Stormbreaker. Now I was like, huh. I was like, so they did. I said it was. I was like, they probably not. I was thinking they weren't gonna have Beta Ray Bill in these movies. They might bring him in, but Thor got Stormbreaker, and And so, because he needed that for some reason to be able to channel his powers or whatever. I guess he needs to channel his powers again. I don't know. They're like, but you didn't. They even said, Odin said you didn't need that hammer. Hammer was just there to help you channel your powers to keep them under control. Which he seemed to be very in control of in Thor Ragnarok. But anyway, I'll just skip. They go to Wakanda, of course. You've seen that in the trailer, which I really like. The dynamic between Black Panther and them going back and forth, and what's the name has been there the whole time. Winter Soldier. Why am I forgetting his name? But he's been there the whole time. They give him a new arm. Thanos goes to Titan, fights, the Guardians of the Galaxy and, Tony Stark and Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. But it's funny how he got the Soul Stone. He killed Gamora before he went to Titan. He killed Gamora because they had a surprise, which I was surprised. They had Hugo Weaving as Red Skull show up. He's been on that planet that whole time, and he was like floating and shit. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is he floating? Did he get powers now because he's been in? Because the Tesseract sent him there. Have you seen the first Captain America movie? And he's just floating. He's like, oh, many have come for this treasure or some shit like that. All have failed and stuff like. And then he takes him up to this cliff, with this it's like a fork. I don't know if you've seen that sound fork where you hit him. It's like a perfect pitch or whatever like that. It looked like that, except it was stone. And the guys, he's like, you have to throw yourself. Basically, Red Skull, you have to throw yourself off this cliff. And because it has to be a soul, you have to sacrifice a soul for the Soul Stone. And Gamora's starts laughing. She's like, you finally get what you deserve. She's like, you asked the universe for its treasure, and it gave you, and it looked at you and said no. And then Thanos started crying. I was like, I knew already. I was like, he about to throw Gamora off this thing. And then she was like, he turned and looked at her. He was crying. And she was like, tears, really? And Red Skull's like, those tears are not for him. It's like, she looked, and she knew exactly what that meant. And she started bagging up. She was like, basically, she basically called him a piece of shit, baby. And he grabbed her and started he sincerely loved Gamora, but he thinks his destiny is to bring balance to the universe, and in his eyes, bringing balance to the universe is killing half of the population of each planet. And yeah, he grabbed her and just slung her ass off that cliff, and she died. And then all of a sudden, he was off the cliff. Looked like he was 10 or 12 miles away from the place, in the water, like a puddle, and the Soul Stone was in his hand. So now he got the Soul Stone. Then he goes to Titan to get the Time Stone. Doctor Strange then went back in time and looked at every scenario that possibly is fighting Thanos. And Tony how many did we win? And he's like, 1. So they go with that plan. And he ends up, and Tony was going toe to toe with Thanos, but he ended up finally hurting Thanos with a little cut on his cheek. Thanos was like, wow, all that for 1 drop of blood. And then Thanos ends up taking Tony, because Tony made a blade out of his nanites to come out, because his suit was getting all fucked up. tries to stab Thanos. Thanos rips that shit out and then stabs Tony with it in his side. Like kind of like just like that. So it goes like through his side. Like of course missed all his internal organs. And which I was like, why the fuck would he? But you know, of course it's the movie. They don't want him to die yet, Iron Man. And he and then of course Doctor Strange like, look, if you spare him, I'll give you the time stone. So then that's when he brings the time stone out of I guess he had another reality or whatever, gives it to Thanos. Thanos takes it, puts it in his thing, and then oh yeah, that was the one where he threw a moon at Tony while he was fighting Tony during that. And then Spider-Man's like saving everybody. I was like, how the fuck did you survive? Because a big chunk of the moon hit Tony, and because he's trying to dodge him, and a big chunk of this moon hit him, and it hit and smashed him in the ground. I was like, how the fuck did you live through that? Like, I mean, I know in Iron Man he took a round from a tank at point blank. All it did was knock him out the air, but he was still fine. Basically, the only thing, his paint and his suit got messed up. That was it, and that barely got messed up. But he took basically a meteor as fast as and just smashed, and he was fine. And I was like, that's some bleeding edge technology for you. So, but he was going up like he knocked Thanos back. He was like, Tony was fighting. He was fighting like you felt like Tony was fighting like his life depended on him. Like he was like it's like somebody fighting, and they know at the beginning that this person could really just walk through them, but they fight they heart out. They got a lot of heart, and Tony was all heart, but Thanos is all muscle. And Thanos still whooping his ass. And I guess the whole plan was, he said, this was the only scenario we had to do it. So that's what he gave him the time stone. Then Thanos goes to where, Vision is in Wakanda. And they had the whole battle already started between them. They've been fighting, going back and forth. All the other people dead now. All the other Blackwater, they got killed. Scarlet Witch killed the woman. Bruce Banner killed the big chopper, but he was in a Hulk bust on him. Which is funny. I'm like, what if that thing would have tried to stab Bruce Banner with that big ass axe, or like pickaxe? It looked like. Would the Hulk just gonna let him die, or was he gonna turn to the Hulk right then to stop it or something? Like, I was like, the Hulk, because he refused to come out, and he's lucky that Bruce was able to handle it and not die, because Bruce almost died fighting that dude. And because they all started getting their ass whooped. They all started getting swarmed, and then Thor showed up, because they got the cannon fire, just a bunch of aliens, and basically a bunch of mindless aliens like they did in the first Avengers movie. And they except these look upgraded, they have 4 arms, but and they was twice as strong. No guns this time, and twice as fast. But Thor showed up with Stormbreaker and just started destroying him. And you could tell, like Black Panther looked at him like, who the fuck is that? Like this dude with lightning and shit. It's like everybody just stopped and looked at Thor. Like Thor will start going ham on everybody, all the monsters, little thing. And like I said, Scarlet Witch, because damn, I forgot her name. Michonne. That's all I can remember her name. Michonne and Black Widow was fighting the female chick from the Order, and which is funny because like Black Widow was basically whooping her ass by herself early in the fight, early when they first went out to Vision. And now Black Widow having problems fighting her and need Michonne's help. And then the woman started kind of whooping both their asses. They was kind of going back and forth, like they're getting hit, she'll getting hit, and like stuff like that. And then Scarlet Witch showed up, and she threw her ass in these they had these wheeled machines that were going through just grinding people up, and she threw her ass. And then there was a part where when Wanda first showed up, that's Scarlet Witch, I think it was Wanda or something, and these things, it was like a bunch of them together. They came under the ground, jumped out the ground, started grinding towards Michonne and Black Widow. And it wasn't nothing they could do as fast as them things moved. And Scarlet Witch and they picked them up off the ground and then put them over and then made them go backwards towards the monsters, the alien monster that was fighting, and grind them up. And Michonne was like, "Why wasn't this girl down here at the beginning?" She's like, "Why is she up there? Like, it's as powerful as she is, she can be doing a lot more down here than be just sitting up there waiting for them to unhook Vision from because they were trying to unhook Vision from the time stone so they didn't kill him." And Shuri, I think Shuri's her name, Black Panther's sister. She did it. She unhooked him from it, and because they wanted to unhook him from it so they can take it and she could destroy the Mind Stone before Thanos get it. And then they're all fighting. Thor's fighting. It looked really good. I would say that fight looked good. I mean, even because really the only thing that was CGI was the monsters, because you could see it was actually they was going back and forth with Black Panther in the suit and CGI. Well, he was in the suit, but CGI and not CGI. But the monsters were all CGI, so I think they just did him in a suit swinging because him and Captain America were up front because they were faster running than everybody else. And which I like to see. I like they were both. Everybody started running down the hill, and then of course Black Panther and Captain America took off because Captain America's a super soldier and Black Panther got the heart-shaped herb, so which makes both of them as strong as a human being will ever possibly be, and a normal human being, not like a meta human or something, like as strong as a normal human being could possibly be, basically. And they would that fight was awesome. Like they did a very good job with that fight. They did start going back and forth with jumping back and forth. That's why I said the fights look good, but when they started jumping back and forth between them fighting and then Thanos fighting, the Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man stuff, they started jumping back and forth. It kind of got tiresome, and I was like, I don't really like this. And they suffered from that whole thing because they was CGI and their whole bodies, like the whole suit. They was like Spider-Man, Iron Man, and even shots with, because they kept taking his mask off, Chadwick Boseman. Like, yeah, we know it's you. Like, keep your mask. Why are you in battle? Why are you taking your mask off in the battle? Like, he took his mask off. I'm like, why'd you do that? I know they do it because they will see the actor's face or whatever, but I'm like, it's something that they do and it's stupid to me how they do that, but because it don't make sense why they take their mask off. But they had that floating head thing because everything's CGI and their head, it looks like it's floating on a body. That looked kind of weird because you could tell they did that. I remember when I saw the first Captain America movie when they did that with Captain America, when they put his head on like a little 12, I think it was a 12-year-old body. It was supposed to be like he's supposed to be a small guy, and his head looked weird, like on that. But you could tell his head like was not meant for that body. Like I've seen skinny people and their head. I mean, some of them had big heads, but his head didn't look natural. And maybe you could say I was thinking about, cause I know what Chris Evans looked like, but still, it didn't look right. Like, and especially in certain scenes, it really didn't look right. But they kind of suffered from that in this movie too, with that, and and they were going back and forth. But the fights were awesome. Spider-Man was. I like Spider-Man. He did. To me, he did a lot more in this than he did Civil War. Like, people try to argue with me, like, "Hey, Spider-Man was legit." Like, in that, like, they needed it, like, because they brought him in Civil War, like, they brought him in as if they brought in Thor or the Hulk or something. Like, he was this big deciding factor. Now, you have Vision on your side, Tony. What is Spider-Man gonna do? Like, I mean, I guess he's like, well, Vision could be fucked up because Wanda is on Cap's side. But the most in that movie, the most powerful one of them was the Vision, and he was on Tony Stark's side. Like, he went and got Spider-Man. I guess he needed the numbers, but I'm like, as strong as Vision is, yeah, you don't need the numbers. Like, and they tried to, and they ever, like, it seemed like they, cause the way they did is like Spider-Man is the deciding factor in this. And I mean, Spider-Man's powerful too. Don't get me wrong, but still, I mean, compared to Vision and even Iron Man for that matter, like, I was like, I don't think so. Like, I mean, and then they got War Machine. I mean, they had Black Panther, but Black Panther's not on Spider-Man's level as far as strength and agility. But you're talking about somebody with a bulletproof suit that absorbs kinetic energy. So none of these people can hurt him on the other team unless they somehow able to cut the line of his thing. But that's, that's comic book. They ain't did that. But cut along the line of his suit, yeah, you able to cut it. But, and that was another thing that it seemed Thanos. I thought it seemed like, cause I was like, when Thanos took the time stone, I mean the Mind Stone from, because he eventually got the Mind Stone. Scarlet Witch destroyed it, but Thanos had the Time Stone, so he rewound time, brought Vision back, picked Vision up, pulled the Time Stone out his head, which I said he was gonna do, ripped that bitch right out his head, and I was like, wait a minute, wasn't Vision made out of vibranium? Because when he put his hands in, he like just dented his whole head front part, and just his whole frontal lobe, he just dented it. Even though it looked like he was trying to be careful, but when he put his fingers, his whole foot just caved in. It's like, ghost, like, why did like you was trying to be careful? And you just like, fuck it, just and he yanked it out. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought he was vibranium. I said, is he able to just bend vibranium like that? I mean, I know he's strong, but damn. Because I was like, Vision was made out of vibranium, or is it partially vibranium? Maybe you think his head would be the main thing made out of vibranium, but because they was stabbing him and stuff, like, because that's what they were stabbing him with. Their stabs that was keeping the Vision from being able to go intangible. And I was like, wait a minute, I thought he was made of vibranium, but I don't know. But he punched Black Panther. Now Black Panther got the suit on, and he had his mask on at this point. Knocked fucking Black Panther out. Like, Black Panther suit could absorb kinetic energy, but knocked his ass out one point. And then when he hit Cap, because Cap did the whole thing, he was holding up his hands and his hand, and it looked like, and even it kind of looked like Thanos was like, I guess, like he was actually having trouble for a second, but it seemed that way. And he was like, kind of like, what the fuck? Like, is this dude actually as if he was actually stopping him? But then he just punched Tony. He punched Captain in the head, and I'm like, okay, this is a guy who manhandled the Hulk. He punched Captain America in the face, knocking him out for a little bit. And then Cap just up fine. I was like, I doubt this man holds back. And he got back. I said, Captain should be dead. His head actually should have came off his body. But this is a comic book movie. So, and Cap should be dead from a lot of different things that happened to him in the comic book. But I was like, okay, you know. In the movies, they seem to have upped Captain America's strength anyway and his durability in the movies. So he's not, it doesn't seem like he's exactly like he is in the comic books. Because even in the comic books, they kind of go up and down with, because, you know, they write stuff where Captain America do one thing. I mean, anybody, like, I mean, Wolverine at one point, when he got stabbed through the torso by Silver Samurai, it took him like 3 weeks to heal from that. I mean, that one would have killed a normal person, but it took him like 3 weeks to heal. Now, you can disintegrate Wolverine pretty much, and the only thing left is fucking skeleton, and he'll regenerate in minutes from that. Seconds from anything else, pretty much, and minutes from his whole body being destroyed. And before, it took him longer to, like, for his eye to come back. I remember it was one comic book, I can't remember what it was, which the name would come, but he lost his eye. And then I remember he was talking on a plane. I think it was Bruce Banner. And Bruce was like, I thought you healed. You know, had accelerated healing factor. And he's like, I do. It just, you know, my eye is, I guess he's like, this is more technological, but it's more technical for, you know, to heal. So it takes longer for his eyes to heal. And he was like, and I remember, I think it was Bruce Banner. And he was like, huh, that's interesting, you know, about him. And you know, Captain America's kind of like that. Like when he kicked that car in Civil War, and that car basically slid over and hit that guy and sent him flying. I was like, yeah, they've upped his strength in this movie anyway. Like he seems to be, because before he was like, at Captain America's strength, I mean, you could put it on the level, they say. Like, he's stronger than, and like, they had the strongest power lift, and you go by the strongest power lift, say, like, Captain America lived probably about 1,500 pounds or something like that. And now it seemed like, in this movie, in the movies anyway, he's strong as, like, it'll seem like he's as strong as 10 of the strongest men on earth. Like, you take the strongest man on earth that has lifted that, let's say has the Guinness Book of World Records for lifting a certain amount of weight. I can't remember. I think it's like, is it like 1,000 pounds? Or is it? Did the guy lift 1,500 pounds? I can't remember. I thought it was like, I thought this guy lived like 1,000 pounds or something like that. Now, Captain America seemed to me in the movie like he's as strong as 10 of those guys. And of course they had him. He fought Thanos and stuff like that. I was like, Cap shouldn't even move Thanos' face when he hit. It should be like, psh, like when Batman punched Superman, and Superman's face didn't move. That's the way it should be when Captain America punches Thanos. But anyway, Thanos came, started beating everybody's ass, just waving his hand, sent people flying, crushed War Machine suit around him. I was like, why didn't he just crush him completely and kill him? But he didn't, for whatever reason. And he, like I said, he punched Cap in the head. Cap stopped his hand, and I guess he held back enough where he didn't completely decapitate Cap. Then Wanda actually destroyed the stone. He brought him back. Slapped her ass. That bitch slapped her, backhand her. Put the stone in his glove. And then Thor kicked him. Thor came with that thunder. Put that axe in that motherfucker's chest. And then grabbed his head, started pushing the axe. He's like, I told you I was gonna get your ass. I told you I was gonna get your ass, didn't I? And then he's like, you should have aimed for my head. And he snapped his fingers. And when he snapped his fingers, people started disintegrating like this was fucking X-Men Last Stand or some shit. And I guess he did it because he said it's random selection, half the population. Apparently, he did that for the whole universe. He snapped his fingers, half the population's gone. People started disintegrating just at random. All the Guardians gone. Only person on the planet left was Iron Man and I forget that chick who plays Gamora's sister, the bald head blue chick. What's her name? Nambia or something like that. I can't remember her name. But her and Tony was the only one there left. I felt sorry when Spider-Man started going, he started crying. I was like, I don't want to go, because he said, I feel sick. I guess he started feeling because his spider sense probably started going up like crazy. And he was like, he started crying, like, I don't want to go. He disintegrated. And then Doctor Strange said it had to be this way. And he disintegrated. Everybody pretty much disintegrated. Black Panther disintegrated. Bucky, everybody just, like, most people disintegrated. I think Cap was still there. War Machine, Natasha, Michonne, Bruce Banner was still there. Everybody else disintegrated. You know, a bunch of people from Wakanda started disintegrating. Like I said, half the people. And then at the end of credits, then the movie went off. Like, then it was, I was like, what the fuck? People was like, what? Like, literally, like, because it was these about 12 people that did. I was like, half of them was like, what? A cliffhanger, but it was somebody was like, fuck you. Somebody said, fuck you, Marvel. I was like, I knew it was gonna end like on a cliffhanger or something like that. I said, I had a feel. I said, this is gonna be their Empire Strikes Back, where the bad guy wins. And then the next movie is going to be like The Last Jedi, where they come back and somehow bring all these people back and be in there where they not. And somebody probably going to bring Gamora back, of course. But then at the end credits, they go to, they show Nick Fury and I can't think, his son Marie Hill. They in the car, and when I guess this at the point he snapped his fingers because the car in front of them like swerved, and then the person was gone. They was like, and then Marie started disappearing, and then Nick Fury runs, and clicks this thing, and he's like, mother, and he disintegrated before he could say motherfucker. And then on his beat, it was like a pager. The pager comes up with the symbol of Captain Marvel on it. And then I was like, oh, Captain Marvel's gonna come and of course help and all that stuff. So that was pretty much it. That was a review. I give it an 8.5. Like I said, it was kind of convoluted. They did the best they could with all the characters they had. They're putting that. No, Marvel was like, hey, you need to put these people need to be in the movie. Figure out how to do it, and they did it. Great movie. I recommend it, and that's about it. Yeah. Somebody keep fucking looking at me. So I'm like keep staring at me in their house. So I'm about to go in this house and go to sleep. But I recommend it. Like I said, 8.5. I would recommend watching some of the other movies. At least watch the Avenger movies, like Avengers 1 and Age of Ultron. And I would say probably watch Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. I would say that Winter Soldier is probably that's one of my top of the Marvel movies. Like Winter Soldier, actually the top. Like Winter Soldier, then the Avengers, and then I'd say Black Panther, and I'd say Iron Man, probably. And then Civil War. Well, yeah, because it was Winter Soldier, the Avengers, Black Panther. Well, I'd say Civil War and then Iron Man. Probably that's my top. Was that 5? top 5 Marvel movies anyway, in that order. But Ant-Man, I could do without. Oh yeah, Ant-Man and Hawkeye not in this movie. It seemed the way they was talking as if Hawkeye might be an Ant-Man and a Wasp, so might look for him in that. I'm curious who they're gonna have next in these movies. Like maybe if they get the rights back, maybe they'll have Doctor Strange. Most likely they're gonna get the rights back, because unless somebody buys Fox, like if the federal government like, nope, this deal's not going through, if somebody buys the Fox movie and the movie side of their business and keep that entity as a Fox, like they don't change the name and all that stuff. They can still Fox, but it's owned by somebody else who pretty much tells them what to do. I think through that way they can actually keep the rights to those characters, and you won't see like them try to put the X-Men or anything like that in this story. But great, good story, very dark. I ain't gonna lie, I was tearing up when Spider-Man started crying. First I was like, man up, stop being a pussy. And then I was like, man, I started feeling sorry for. I was like, man, he's just a kid though, and he out here, and he's crying, and he's like, I want to die. And he's like, well, I don't want to go, of course, die, because he was basically being snapped out of existence. And then Thanos went somewhere. I don't know where he went, and he was just like in a field, like you could see, it was like a nice, wherever he's, there's a beautiful planet with green pastures and stuff, and he was like in a broken down house or something. He just sat down